morning. Welcome to Business Morning on Channels Television. So we've done 165 minutes so far this week. We have 110 more minutes. We'll do 55 today and leave the rest for tomorrow. And so let's make the most of it. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Let's start off with oil prices. It rebounded on Thursday after tumbling in the previous session as a weaker dollar brought back some appetite for risk assets, and the OPEC Plus decision to roll over an output cut helped ease oversupply concerns. Brent crude futures rose 65 cents at $83.49 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures advanced 71 cents to $77.12 a barrel. Both benchmarks plunged more than 3% overnight after U.S. government data showed big bills in crude and oil products inventory. The Federal Reserve raised its target interest rate by 0.25 percentage point, that's 0.25%, yesterday, yet continued to promise ongoing increases in borrowing costs as part of its ongoing battle against inflation. Close to that, we have Argentina's revenue from exports of grain, oilseeds, and other derivatives plummeted 61% in January from a year ago. Exporters and crushers Chamber Sierra said that in a setback as the country tries to refill foreign currency reserves. Exports totaled $928.37 million in the first month of the year, also falling over 75% the previous month, as the world's largest exporter of soybean oil and meal grapples with a severe drought as delayed field work and affected grain output. Lack of rainfall in Argentina, also a major supplier of corn and wheat, has delayed planting of the local soybean and corn crops, while cutting wheat output by nearly half. The government has pledged to support some 54,100 farmers affected by the drought with tax and credit benefits. We come to Nigeria now. It's 8 days before that February 10th deadline for the use of the old naira notes. And unfortunately, what we have mostly now is naira racketeering. Imagine paying for your own country's currency. That seems to be what's going on here. Do remember that you can share your new naira experience with us, Business Morning at channelstv.com. But a lot of stories out there, not palatable at all, having to pay 2,000 naira to get 10,000 naira from POS and issues such as that. Well, Olumide Macaulay, one of our correspondents, went into town yesterday to feel the pulse of the people.
Ojodu, a suburb in the heart of Lagos mainland, and the bank ATMs today are besieged by people out to get the latest scarce commodity in Nigeria.
My money that people ask me to put inside bank, I cannot now collect the money. It's not everybody. I drank pap yesterday and I told the woman, give me a can and let me transfer the 200 from, because I don't have cash to give anybody. I don't have a dime because I put everything. I don't have the money instead of losing anyone at home if they change the money. Now I put all the money inside bank. I cannot see any money to collect. How can I now go to POS? They'll be telling me POS 1,000 is 200. How are we going to survive?
Her grievance is echoed by others who find the situation equally frustrating.
I received a call 3 days ago from my village. They said they cannot buy, they cannot actually eat because the old naira notes have been rejected by markets women.
In Ikeja local government area, getting the newly designed naira notes is like finding a needle in a haystack. And even though the Central Bank of Nigeria has extended the deadline to February the 10th, that, the people say, is neither here nor there.
It's really unexplainable, the stress. And we're stuck. That's just the truth. We are in a fix. We can't buy, we can't get money. Everything is just like shut down.
A bank ATM used to be a POS operator's best friend, but not for Princess.
Waiting the happen for cash now is getting so worse. Like me, I don't use bank, because bank have already done a lot of things. They don't do many things. So when this thing come, is even now me, I go even talk say affect pass. Because no be person will get ATM now go withdraw money. There's no money everywhere.
Some people sleep here. It's because of boundary. That's why I come and kill since 6:30. I never shop since now.
The scarcity of the 500 naira, 200 naira,
and 1,000 naira newly redesigned notes is biting hard on Nigerians, and they are feeling the pinch. Take, for instance, me, who took a shot at withdrawing money from my bank account over the counter because I couldn't get money through the ATM, and I got only 5,000 naira, which is the stipulated amount that I can withdraw over the counter, and not just 5,000 naira alone, but only in 50 naira denominations. Now that's a microcosm of what's happening across the country, where people want to get their own money, but it simply isn't available. Reporting from Lagos, Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
So that's the situation, and I know it's not strange to you even as you watch. It'll be an interesting time to have a conversation with the Central Bank of Nigeria. We do know that the governor was at the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, beg your pardon, about 2 days ago, and then we had that circular from the spokesperson, Mr. Wasinobi, clarifying that after the 10th of February, Nigerians can still deposit their old notes with the central bank. But speaking to Nigeria has become of utmost importance at this time, and I've tried reaching out to them. I do hope we can get a response and get the Central Bank of Nigeria to speak to Nigerians about the plan. I mean, you have money in your accounts, you cannot access it. And to make it worse now, you have to pay to get the naira. You want to get 10,000 naira from the POS, you are charged 2,000 naira. That is what, I mean, it's a lot for Nigerians to bear. So we're calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria to speak to Nigerians and tell Nigerians the plan to deal with this even before the 10th. The 10th is just 8 days away. That means we can get to the 10th and still have this issue. Nigerians cannot access cash, they cannot carry out economic activities, and especially the small businesses are suffering. Well, we have to tell us their own experience in all of this, the National President, Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, Mr. Victor Olojo, joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Olojo. Well, I know this is not strange. Every Nigerian is feeling it, from the north to the west to the east, everywhere. And we saw a POS operator there says it's difficult for her to even get cash to carry out her transactions. You know, so tell us what has been happening, and why are you guys charging us? I want to withdraw 10,000 naira. You ask me to pay for naira, pay 2,000 naira to get. That's most annoying, honestly.
All right, thank you very much for having me. I'm speaking from the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria, AMBAN. First, I mean, I would like to use the opportunity to actually express my deep concern and express that all of us at AMBAN actually feel the pains of all Nigerians. I mean, the past few weeks has been really very difficult. And going straight to your last question, I mean, the reason why we are in this situation right now is because cash is a scarce commodity. I mean, the only reason why agents are charging is because the cash isn't available, right? So the CBN has released several circular, you know, clearly highlighting they're working very closely with mobile money and bank agents. This is for a fact, but the reality is that cash isn't available. And let me be specific, the new naira notes, right? So the new ones that have just been printed are not available. The banks are not giving out the new one. You can only get, and very few ATMs are available. So mobile money agents are left with no other choice to travel miles and miles to get cash, to look for better ways, because they are not getting it from the bank. The cost to get the cash is, as a matter of fact, overbearing. But this is not to say we condemn extremely high cost of our services where it is too high. But the reality is many agents have locked shops today. Many are jobless today. I mean, things are becoming more and more difficult. More Nigerians are getting frustrated. You know, it's a precarious situation, and we hope that something will be done very fast to this.
All right, the other side, we'll come back to the new naira, but I mean, there are also issues where the old naira is being given out. before now, if you wanted to withdraw 10,000 naira, mostly you do 400 naira. But now, even with the old notes, the POS operators are charging like 500, 1,000 naira. I heard on the island is about 2,000 naira with the old notes. So is this a way of increasing cost also, or do the old notes also come with stress?
Well, the reality is, there is no naira outside. I mean, it's not available. That is just the fact. And let me tell you this. Now, ordinarily, we should be identified by the banks. We should be identified by the central bank, where a very clear roadmap will be made available, where agents will be able to access these funds and give it. As a matter of fact, we've participated in the cash swap programs with the CBN across the country. But the problem is the cash isn't available. As at Saturday, Sunday, many agents had no choice but to go and lodge in the money they had, only for the circular to be released on Monday to say, on Sunday rather, that it has been extended by another 10 days. Now, the issue is, if we even had this cash available, or probably the CBN has, we are calling on the CBN that they should make this cash available to mobile money agents, and we will revert back. Let me just give an instance. Mobile money agents right now are going into marketplaces, into filling stations, into pharmacies, and trying to see how they can mop up the old currency. But unfortunately, we don't have the new currency to swap it with. We have no choice but to give it back to Nigerians. So let me use this opportunity once again to call on the CBN to work closely with agents. Unfortunately, the operators, the banks, they are doing a lot, but there's so much they can do because they also have their own specific jurisdiction. But at AMBAN, we believe that this can be clearly handled. If we are able to work directly with the CBN, we can mop up the old currency right now and exchange it. And we have very good monitoring mechanism on ground. But the point is right now, the new currencies are not available and agents are spending a lot to even get the ones they have. If we go to any filling station today as we speak to say, can we help you mop up? It's even at a cost. And if we take what we have to the bank is not willing to exchange it for us for new currencies. So we are at a fix. But we are more than open and ready to ensure that Nigerians don't feel the brunt. But I can tell you that mobile money agents are not exploiting Nigerians. This is not a case of exploitation. It is a case of scarcity. And the one we have is coming at a cost. We're not getting it from banks. We are trying to get from everywhere we can get and help Nigerians. Thank you.
All right. I remember when the new notes, the redesigned notes were introduced, you were in the studio here, and then we had those limits, you know, and you did ask that a path of conversation or communication be opened so that at least you guys, the operators, are able to get even beyond the limits, are able to service. Could you confirm to us if you were able to have that communication, if there was an arrangement, and if that could be used for, you know, to bring some kind of succor at a time such as this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We made headway. I mean, we're happy that through our effort through the mass media, you know, I was on several other channels, and including your station, and we're happy that we're able to make headway. And what we got out of that was that the CBN was able to listen to the outcry of Nigerians. The limit initially was 20,000 naira a day, and that has been reviewed. And we want to thank the CBN for listening to the outcry of Nigerians. Right. The issue we have on ground is that the CBN has a good policy. We are worried about the timing. And we have also asked, we have 3 currencies, not just one. So it's a whole lot. We have the 200, the 500, the 1,000 at one single time. It is really difficult. That's a humongous task for the CBN. And I mean, it's showing Nigerians are bearing the brunt and they are paying with a whole lot. And we hope that the fact that CBN was able to listen to us the first time, it should also be able to maximize the agent network on ground. And we want to say this again. We are on the ground, not the banks, not the operators. They're in their offices. The association is on ground. We're in the nooks and crannies. Things are bad in the far north, far east. I mean, things are really difficult for Nigerians. We want to call again on the CBN to please maximize the agent network. We have mechanisms to ensure that agents don't abuse. We've been hearing cases of agents abusing, but I can tell you that these things have already been nipped, and agents who have been caught have also been handed over to the law enforcement. But the best way, the most effective channel for the CBN to actually reach Nigerians are not the ATMs, but the agents. We know these agents, we can identify them, and this thing will be done very smoothly.
All right, so when you said the CBN should maximize the network, what exactly do you mean in practical terms? Are you saying they should give you the new notes, you're able to circulate it, or, just help us to understand exactly how this could work?
Okay, so it is working already, and what we are asking, the CBN already has it in their agenda. If you read through the statement that was released, the CBN said they have deployed 30,000 super agents. Unfortunately, Nigerians are yet to feel the impact of that, probably because they've not gone through the most effective channels, right? So we have agents today who, banks have agents, for instance, First Bank, FCMB, Zenith, and all. What they do is they call on their agents, they give them monies, and the agents are expected to exchange 10,000 naira new notes for the old notes, and the others should be moved into the bank. So the point is, in every nook and cranny in Nigeria, you'll find mobile money agents. Now, what we expect the CBN to do is to ensure they capitalize more on building upon these channels. And if they go through the bank, they may not get the most effective results. And we are saying they should work with the association, umbrella body of mobile money agents in Nigeria. We know ourselves. Lagos is, in fact, we are finding it easy in Lagos. If you go to other climes, the results I'm getting from other states is very disturbing, very, very disturbing. And all we are calling on the CBN is to effectively use the agent channel. If agents, for instance, in Kebbi, if we are able to map out agents, and certain agents are able to come to the center, city center in Kebbi, get these monies and take them to the local government and effectively distribute them, we'll be able to open accounts for these people. We'll be able to introduce them to the alternative channels so that things can easily get better going forward, and the policies of the CBN can also be achieved.
All right, Mr. Victor Olojo, not good times for Nigerians at this time.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have people queuing at ATMs, going into banks and spending hours. And still not able to get their own money, which they kept in the bank. But we'll keep at it, and we do hope that the Central Bank of Nigeria is listening and would accelerate efforts to ameliorate this suffering. Thank you so much, Mr. Olojo.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
thank you.
National President, Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria. All right, now, the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce and Mines and Agriculture, NACIMA, they've been busy in recent times, and recently they expressed their concerns on what they consider negative impacts of the 2022 finance bill. Well, another area, it's connected to what we're talking about, digital hubs, spreading those digital hubs across the country. That's what they're asking for. With that, perhaps some of those transactions that are failing at this time or difficult to carry out at this time, talking of banking transactions and others, might be easier to carry out. That's the request of NACIMA at this time.
Members of the private sector and government officials have gathered here to rub minds on how digital economy can play a leading role in the nation's socio-economic development. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, digital economy has contributed 20.32% to the gross domestic product in the third quarter of 2022, the highest in 5 years. This is why the association wants more support to be given to the sector.
Many of our youths are known for Yahoo business, where they defraud individuals and corporate organizations, both within and outside Nigeria, which is bringing bad image and marketing for our country. Our goal is to change these narratives of these smart and intelligent youth from these negative narratives to the positive of the digital ecosystem.
Development partners and financial development agencies are also prepared to leverage on the huge potential the nation possesses in the digital technology sector.
One of the most important things for us is the third one, the more innovation in traditional sectors. And I explained about our cooperation in several sectors and exemplify some of our elements concerning private sector participation, digital technologies, and startups. Without those interventional elements, we can secure sustainability and innovations, and our output will be diminished.
To deal with the information asymmetry in the continent, the bank, working with partners, have also launched what we call Trader. Trader is focusing on connecting businesses to other businesses in different parts of the continent, also providing information on market opportunities around trade in goods and services in the continent.
The digital economy helps to increase capital and labor productivity. It also helps to obtain goods and services at lower prices. Its full adoption in Nigeria will further give a boost to the nation's economy.
That's it, calling for expansion of the digital economy. Now let's move to OPEC plus oil and gas. Still a major stay for Nigeria and other countries. And we have joining us in the studio now, Bolanle Agbaje, Senior Associate with Financial Derivatives Company. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Bolanle, I hope you had a better experience coming in.
It was
today.
slightly better, but the queues are still there.
Yeah, of course, the queues are still there. Yes. Talking about the queues, OPEC plus met yesterday and they decided to maintain their cut supply policy.
Yeah, very brief meeting for them, and I guess it's because there's still so much uncertainty around and they're trying to wait before making any moves. So they actually left everything the way it was. There was no increase in supply cuts, there was no reduction in it as well. So they're trying to see what happens on the 5th of February and then from then on to see what happens to consumer demand as well.
All right, so we also have that factor with Russia to consider. I think EU is looking at the price cap and then compare that to the demand and their supply. And then I think there's supposed to be, one of the sanctions supposed to kick in. I think...
so sanctions on oil.
Yes,
transportation
kick through the ship,
yes,
through the water.
On the 5th of February. And it would be nice to see how, Russia reacts to that and what happens to Russian supply as well. And also the demand situation in China too. So those are the factors that OPEC Plus is considering.
China is kind of stable now.
They're stable, but yes, but they just eased their lockdowns now, so they're waiting to see how they pick up, because obviously it's not immediate, and see what happens with the demand for oil. And right now oil is currently trading at about $83 per barrel. So they're trying to watch what happens if oil increases. It'll get to a point where the demand actually cuts off because it becomes more expensive for some of these countries that are actually recovering and still recovering from what has happened in the past year. So all of that and more is what OPEC Plus is trying to weigh out and see what happens. But for now, the output cuts that they have in place, I think about 2 million barrels per day, is still ready to stay till the end of the year.
But I think the decision of the Fed also affected the price of oil.
Yes, well, it did, but this was already priced in. The fact that
because we all heard it was going to be 0.2, 25 basis points,
yes,
long before
this. And right now there's no, there wasn't any sign of them easing on some of those hikes in their rates, because for the Fed right now the main priority is to tackle inflation. Even if inflation has been declining in the US for the past few months, they still remain adamant to bring inflation back to its target level.
They seem to be giving some positive sentiment to say, looks like inflation is tapering, it might become a norm, and even IMF has revised some of those growth rates.
Yes,
So these are some positive that could actually...
yes, they definitely are. Even the ECB as well, they're meeting today, and they're also expected
and the Bank of England is also
yes,
meeting.
they're also expected to hike rates as well, following what is going on. But it's what we all expected. The fact that, you know, the situation in most countries is not necessarily favorable. It's really biting hard on individuals, and same with Nigeria as well. So some of these countries are making sure that, you know, by the end of this year, they're back to, you know, where they were pre-COVID years.
What about Nigeria?
Nigeria is a peculiar situation. It's a very difficult time for us. Individuals, most Nigerians should just expect that it's going to become even much tougher for them, at least in the short to medium term. And we do hope that, you know, with the new administration, something good comes out of it.
And so we're counting down to the elections. So
yes.
We have one election in February, we have one in March.
Yes.
So we don't know if relief will come after the big one, which is in February 25th, or is it going to, are we going to have to wait until March?
I feel like we would have to wait even after March, because it will definitely take some time for them to adjust and, you know, create plans for the country, and obviously follow suit with what the budget, or what the current budget has in place as well. So some of those plans will definitely take time for implementation to take in as well.
I do hope. I mean, I think one major part of this year I'm looking forward to is that subsidy removal.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, it seems everybody has agreed that we need to take away subsidies.
Yes.
But really implementing it is another thing. The PIA is there, you know, they're supposed to bring sanity and attract more investors into the oil and gas, you know, I'm looking forward to that subsidy issue.
You know,
and
the good question to ask is the subsidy really there? Because a lot of these marketers keep complaining they haven't received, you know, some of their funding. And so what we're seeing now is most likely what we'll be seeing during that time as well. So we most likely have already started to adjust to the period where there would actually be no subsidies.
So there'll be no surprises, you think?
I don't think there'll be any surprises. I think the only thing is there'll be increased competition, and that's great for that sector because it's much needed, and it will more or less put some of those marketers in the right place, and, you know, make sure that they put plans in place that would more or less favor, you know, individuals within the economy. Because once you have increased competition in the market, it actually...
Yeah, we always cite the telecommunications sector.
Yes, it's actually great, especially for the pricing angle as well, because what that means is the person with the best price, you know, would be the one that individuals go to buy fuel from.
Hoping that the quality will not be tampered with.
Well, I do hope that we don't get to those extreme levels.
All right, so for a change now, liquefied natural gas is up.
Yes, and that's just because, you know, you're seeing this new demand from South Asia, which had been removed from the market for some time. And I guess that's because, you know, prices had declined significantly from about November, December, due to the reduction in demand from Europe, from the, you know, change in weather that we had seen, or better than expected weather that we had seen. So we're seeing increased demand from countries like Thailand, countries like India. And what analysts, you know, are expecting is that, you know, once you see this increased demand, that also boosts prices further. But it would get to a point where those particular countries will actually pull out again, because right now prices are competitive for them. And that's why you're seeing that.
And is Nigeria in that market?
Well, Nigeria stands to benefit from that.
Okay,
you know,
we have
because
the potential to be in the
do.
market.
Yes, we
We're
do.
just not there. We haven't developed there. Then we see Tanzania. Tanzania, their import is up about 70%. What's going on?
Well, you know, Tanzania is doing great. Most African countries are doing great at the moment. They're making sure that whatever they have, you know, a comparative advantage in, they're really focusing on that and making sure that they do benefit, because their external reserves depend on that, and what they usually use to fund the country actually depends on that. So those are the expectations of Nigeria, but, you know, when it comes to all those loopholes within the country, that's why we're not, you know, seeing those benefits. So countries like Tanzania, Kenya, those are benefiting from
Angola,
yes, they're benefiting. as rightly should, you know, because they're doing things right. And, you know, all they do is, you know, supply what they have and get the benefits of it, and, you know, get benefits in terms of price as well, because some of them are, you know, top suppliers of some of their commodities.
You know, if we were to look at the areas where Nigeria has comparative advantage, it would be so much.
Yes,
and,
it is.
And
it also comes to the question of, you know, people comparing the fact that IMF released the reports of saying that Nigeria would grow by about 3.2%, and they're wondering where that is coming from. But it's because there's a lot of potential for Nigerians, and also most developing countries have the room to grow much more than, you know, some of those developed countries as well.
You know, we're having a conversation, and I was just thinking, all of this this disruption in economic, I'm sure it's going to affect some of this growth forecast that has been given, because if we're going to continue like this, this is the second month. We've had that petrol issue, the queues now for about 4 or 5 months. I think it started like October, November.
Yes.
And if it continues like this until the elections, and then that's March, you're talking about maybe April or something. We will not meet that forecast.
Well, you know, the good thing is these growth forecasts are usually revised. So, you know, they see what happens.
Revised downward again.
It's possible, you know, at the middle of the year, and they see what happens after the elections and who wins the elections to start with, and, you know, their predictions on what they expect the Nigerian economy to perform during that time.
And that reminds me, we know we have another downgrade of 9 companies, banks mostly.
Yes, but, you know, the banks are not, there's a simple task in front of them, and they're not able to fulfill that. So, you know, the downgrade is not surprising.
It's not surprising.
Yes, exactly.
And even though they will say, well, we have a regulator and we can only do as much.
By now, with what is going on in the market, I would have expected, you know, an emergency meeting with the central banks and, you know, most of the banks within the country to figure out how to make sure that the new notes actually flow within the economy and as quick as they can. But that's not the case. And it's just a surprise to see why this is happening.
That's why we're calling on the Central Bank of Nigeria. Please talk to Nigerians. Tell us what the strategy is, you know, to solve this problem, because people are getting really desperate. And imagine you cannot access cash. You know, you want to buy petrol now. The filling stations do not want to do virtual transactions because that's been truncated a whole lot. You see revised transactions.
Reversals and
exactly. So they want you to bring cash. And you don't have that cash.
And they're not willing to take the old notes as well.
Because the expiration date is just around the corner. And you want to get the new notes. Either you don't find it or you have to pay. I find it's, you know, heartbreaking to pay for naira. I don't know, but
no, it is. It's very, very heartbreaking.
It's not dollar. We're talking of naira.
And I think now they're really hitting the necessities of, you know, Nigerians, and I'm sure they'll start to see the other side of Nigerians if this.
I hope it doesn't get.
If this goes on for so long.
All right, let's see what else is happening in the commodity space.
Yeah, like so we're still in the harvest period. Major commodities are actually declining, and it's very unfortunate that, you know, Nigerians are not benefiting as much from that because they can't actually you know, purchase some of these commodities. We heard some news about, you know, some women in the market. They're not willing to accept transfers because they're not sure they would see it, and they're also not willing to take the old notes. So it's really hitting on
you know, that's what a lot of people said when the issue of the redesigned naira came, and the e-naira is also there, and people said, do we have the infrastructure, you know, to handle this volume? Nigeria is a very well-populated country.
Exactly.
And now, not even everybody, but some people are turning to those online transactions, and the infrastructure cannot handle it.
It can't. It takes a very long time to actually make a simple transfer these days, and that's
if you're not unlucky that it gets hooked. You understand? Because you could be debited.
Exactly.
It doesn't get to the destination, and so somewhere the money is gone. And how do you even get into a bank to resolve that?
At this point, it's a trying time for us. But I do hope that going forward, especially when the deadline comes in, something changes within the economy. I really do hope.
Yeah, well, let's hope that will keep us alive.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Balanle Agbaje, Senior Advocate of the Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now, so we are still in the market, not in the commodities market now. We head over to the equities, money markets in general, where we have Will bringing some good news. So while I mean, the cash is not so much, but equities at least will give us something to smile about. Will, I see that the market ended in the positive yesterday.
Yes, Ini, as expected and as predicted by analysts, they've been talking about the bullish momentum in the market, and we keep saying that 0.4, that's nearly half a percent in yesterday's trading session. Really strong for the market. And, you know, it's still good news for the global markets, especially in the US. You know, they've been having the bearish momentum for a while.
It was really a big recovery yesterday.
Yes, for yesterday. And they said the more Jerome Powell spoke, the more the stocks and bonds rallied. So it's more like, do we need...
the more the Central Bank of Nigeria
speaks,
the more the naira and the dollar.
You complete that, Edie. So we saw the equities market being up in yesterday's trading session by 0.49% to stand at 53,499 points. Market cap is at the 29 trillion naira mark at the moment, and we saw trade volume climbed by 19.9% in yesterday's trading session to 237. It didn't climb; it fell by 19.9% to 200 million units traded yesterday. Down, value was down 5.52 billion naira, and all transacted in over 3,700 deals. Was a sea of red for the activity chart. We'll look at the sectors and see how they performed in yesterday's trading session. We saw that it was just the banking and the oil and gas indexes that were in the green. The tier 1 banks really did their thing in the banking index. It was up 1.22%. Consumer goods, industrial insurance were down. Seplat really boosted this counter. It was up really strongly, 10% in yesterday's trading session, adding 110 naira in yesterday's trading session, and the stock price closed at 1,210 naira. We saw Universal Insurance closing. It was the most traded stock in yesterday's trading session. GTCO followed closely, and also we saw UBA in that segment. But to get more insight, it's still a positive market breadth, and stocks are still rallying. We don't know how with that momentum keep going. We have Abdurrashid Momo, is an equity trader, CSL, TLW stockbrokers, to give us more insights as to what's going to happen next. Good morning, Abdurrashid. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
It's good to have you. Equities, we're seeing this bullish run in equities. I just want to know, equities in La La Land, and will they be coming out of that anytime soon?
Well, my last interview with you guys was, I said 50,000 points, and that the market might be looking forward to about 54,000 points. That will be the next area the market is going to be hitting, because 54,000 points was actually the peak of the market last year, when the market hit about 290 in the month of April, before the downtrend to about 43,000. And from what I see, from the 50,000 points, the market did a rebound. So I think the market might want to just hit the 54,290 points. Because if you actually look at now, I normally track the indexes. Most of the major one I normally track is the NGX banking, because NGX banking seems to be the most volatile, and NGX banking is still within the same range of the highs of last year, about 456.78. So market is going to react within that area. If market breaks those recent levels I've said, then we might see a new bull trend to the uptrend. But for now, if you notice, the financials are coming in, they are trickling in, and has there been any effect within so far? Has there been any new high within the banks? I'll say not really. We look at banks like GT, Zenith, and the rest. But one of the banks I can actually look at now is GTCO. GTCO has been playing a very systematic pattern. It has broken, it's been doing lower highs for the past, from 2018 till date. And it has broken out from those recent levels. I foresee in the long term about 27, 28 naira on those stocks. But as I said, the NGX banking is within a resistant levels now. If that level is broken, then we might see a new bull trend.
Okay, so before the rally begins to fizzle out, we've seen the rallies. You've mentioned earnings is supported by this some of the positive performance we've seen, backed up by these earnings. Do you advise caution at this time for investors?
Yes, definitely, because we always say that the market is the discounting mechanism. We already all the pricing, all what you are seeing, all the financials you are seeing now has already been priced in from last year till date. So when prices hit resistance levels, we need to watch if those levels be taken out. If those levels are taken out, then we have a continued bull rally. But the truth is that if the market actually breaks 54,000 points, the market is all about fear and greed. If the market actually does well, we might even see threatening the all-time high of about 65,000 points. But I don't know how long it's going to take. But so far, the key word is watch those resistance levels. If they are broken, then we have a new bull trend. If not, then we will have a retracement to the downside, but it's not going to be much.
Okay. Thank you so much. I just wanted in a quick one before you leave. Do you think the markets will be bullish or bearish at the close of today's trading session?
Possibly. If you see what's happening, the ones actually moving the market, if you look at in terms of the big players like what happened yesterday, Etel, Giregun, when those stocks needs MTN, you see that there's always, a change, no matter what other equities do. If you notice, I think, yes, most of the banking sectors, we're not really seeing much spikes. The ones actually moving the market now are the very, very big players.
Okay.
Any small change in that trend actually affects the overall index.
Okay.
But as I speak to you now, the top 5 are actually MRS, eTransact, Red Star, Cornell, and Northern Nigerian Flour Mills.
Okay.
And on the losers corner, we have about Guinness, Boa, John Holt, Ethel, and Adova.
Guinness is still suffering from its weak performance that it posted.
Yeah.
I see that it's still on the losers chart.
Yeah, but so far the market is up by just 0.01%.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So
thank you so much.
And it's been lingering within that period. It's been going up and down. We've been seeing flashes of green and red.
Okay.
Within that period. It's now been minus 0.01 now.
Okay.
So I think market is reacting to these levels, and I think for now the overall index, most of them are actually showing red. When we started this time, it was in green. So I think the market is going to be flat at the end of the day, possibly.
Okay, we'll look out for that prediction. Thank you so much, Abdul Rashid Momo.
Thank you.
Equity trader, TLW Stockbrokers, for sharing your insights. So Ini mentioned that a lot of the banking stocks are not, investors are not taking a bite there, and with Moody's downgrade of these banks, and the tier 1 banks were not left out of that downgrade. We don't know how investors are going to trade or play those stocks today. We'll just watch and see at intraday and probably at the end of the day to see what's happening.
Hopefully the investors recover because since it's mostly local investors at this time, we do know that getting back those foreign investors
is a bit difficult.
Very difficult, especially with the way things are going. But let's hope we can patronize our own and get the market back up.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Will. All right, now let's move over to London now. It's the day after that very big strike yesterday. More than 500,000 workers from different sectors took to the streets yesterday, or down-tooled more like it yesterday. And we had correspondent Juliana working from home yesterday. Juliana, good morning. I hope it's a better day today. Is life back to normal? Is everybody back on their workstations today?
Good morning, Inni. Well, I'm back in the studio, and that's because schools have opened today. The rail network is kind of functioning, although it isn't exactly back to normal. And that's because, as you just quite rightly pointed out, yesterday was the biggest day of industrial action in this country for more than a decade. Over 470,000 members of unions decided to down tools in a coordinated day of strikes, not just because they're not happy with paid jobs and conditions, but it also was a coordinated action and demonstration against this new controversial law that the Conservative government are trying to pass through Parliament, which would basically make a certain level of strike and action in this country illegal, which could see employees sacked and union bosses hauled to court. Now, the issue isn't over. I think the general mood music in the country at the moment is that most people are just not happy. They're not happy with working conditions, pretty much not happy with Rishi Sunak's Conservative government, and it falls on the day today where it does mark 100 days in office for the Prime Minister. It was a gamble trying to pit the public against union bosses, and it hasn't worked out for him, because we are going to get more strikes next week. So next week, once again, the NHS are going to be in the spotlight. We're expecting tens of thousands of nurses to be on the picket lines once again. Also, ambulance workers are going to be striking, and we're going to get more from teachers, more from lecturers at a time when university students are taking exams, and border force staff. In the next couple of weeks, when we'll be on half term, border force staff at 4 main ports across these aisles will be downing tools. So it does keep going. We've heard from the TUC. They want Rishi Sunak to get round the negotiation table yet again. Government offering 4 to 5% pay rises. They want a pay rise that matches inflation, which is currently at 10.5% in this country. So no end in sight as of yet, Inni.
And in the midst of all of this, Juliana, the Bank of England is set to meet. We did hear from the Federal Reserve yesterday. What are we expecting from the Bank of England, especially when we consider that IMF revised outlook that puts only the UK in the negative growth?
Yeah, you're right. The IMF outlook has created Britain as some sort of outlier amongst the G7 nations, the only one that hasn't reached its pre-pandemic size, the only economy in the developed world likely to contract this year by 0.6%. We're going to be hearing more reaction to the IMF outlook from Andrew Bailey, the Bank of England governor, afternoon, when, as you quite rightly said, the MPC will gather and decide interest rates. Interest rates at a record high in this country of 3.5%. Economists have kind of priced in a 0.5% rise, so expecting it to be hitched up to about 4% by lunchtime today. And this is to combat inflation and bring it down. Problem is, of course, it's costing more to borrow, so there is heartache for millions of Brits, particularly those 750,000 individuals who currently hold variable mortgage rates. So they've seen in the past couple of months their mortgage monthly payments increase by up to about £250, which is a lot of money considering bills are rising in other places and it costs more to heat your home and put food on your table. So yeah, we're expecting a big announcement. So we kind of feel like it's going to be 0.5%, but we do want to hear what Andrew Bailey has to say about the IMF outlook, which wasn't received well by the Chancellor Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister.
All right, Juliana, thank you so much for that. We'll talk to you at 1:30 today, later on at Business Incorporated. All right, let's move to the crypto market now, where I do know that with the Fed decision yesterday, there's been good news going round. I believe it also spread to, oh my word, that's 60.
Yeah, 60 greed. Yeah, going deeper.
That's deep greed.
Yeah, deeper into greed. And, I did hear you earlier, talking about, the issues of getting the new naira.
Don't go there.
All of
don't
that.
Take me back.
And I'm wondering, nobody's talking about the e-naira. Is anybody trying the e-naira at this point? Even though we know the bank apps, some of them are giving issues at this point.
If you have not been able to easily use the bank apps which have been there and you've been using before now. You know, first of all, the usage of the bank app was affected by the JAPA stuff.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of the human resources that handle those high-tech guys have moved out of the country. So we started having that. And now when you now compound that with the high demand at this time, we know what's going on.
So
now you're talking of the e-naira,
right,
which a lot of people have not even embraced.
It's supposed to be
on
the blockchain, you know, and you know the blockchain.
Okay.
We know that the service doesn't go down on the blockchain.
Okay.
So we should be able to try the e-naira.
Okay.
You know, at this time.
I hope you're using the e-naira to pay for your petrol, and you use the e-naira to buy that stuff in the supermarket. I hope that's what you're doing.
After the show, I send you some e-naira, send it back. We see how that works.
Okay.
But looking at the market now, we see it's 60 points. Greed right now is showing that the investors are really excited in this market now, you know, getting a lot of exposure. So it's like it's risk on. We're seeing at this point, thanks to the Fed. You know, yesterday 25 basis points, and what the Fed governor actually said. You know, going forward, you know, saying that disinflation is actually happening at the moment, and it's a possibility that that's what we're seeing. And we see the market cap going deeper up there, 3.74%. Volume traded, seeing big volume this morning, 37.87%. We see Bitcoin dominance, that's in at 42.09%, showing Bitcoin dominance above the altcoins at this point. Let's look at the price of Bitcoin this morning, 23,771. Did have that big jump to $24,000, above $24,100 there yesterday when we got what the Fed decision yesterday. That was up 2.82% this morning. Volume traded $30.47 billion, and Ethereum wasn't left out of the party there. $1,667 is up 5.45% this morning. And we see more volume, $9.92 billion. Look at the top alt by market cap. It's all green with Matic there, the biggest mover, Polygon, $1.23, up 11.86%. Biggest mover this morning. We see XRP, even though it's been quite stable for a while now, above that 40 cents level, 41 cents. And we see BNB moving deeper above the $300 level. It's up 6.41%. So it's all green. Euphoria is quite strong in the market today. Let's bring in Solomon Amunde now, financial market analyst. Hello, Solomon.
Good morning, Nadi.
Great to have you, Solomon. It's a green morning. Euphoria in the market now is all positive. But I'm wondering, you know, what happens? You know, we've gotten the 25 basis points. The markets are excited, you know, what Jerome Powell, you know, had to say yesterday. But now we have it now. What next, you know, for Bitcoin?
Yeah, for Bitcoin, basically, nothing has really changed within the last 2 to 3 weeks. Nothing has really changed. We are still ranging between 21K and about 24K. But don't forget we have a very, very huge wall at around $24,800, and we have been unable to go past that wall for more than 5-6 months now. We've been there, and that's the biggest milestone currently, that if Bitcoin can go past, then we can say yes, we have our eyes set on $27,000. So in the crypto markets, basically nothing has really changed. But for altcoins, something has changed. Bitcoin has been able to hold above 21K for more than a month now, and we are being optimistic that it can do that till the end of February, just so that most altcoins will be able to rally about 60% to 150% in profits. But outside that, let's not forget that we still have one of the most bearish months in the crypto history, which is the month of March. So March is still around the corner. But let's enjoy February.
All right, so possibility of, you know, enjoying February. But, you know, as it stands now, are there any laggards in the market? Because, you know, sideline money, we're looking at this market now and wondering, okay, am I too late to this party? Is there still some upside, you know, at this point? Who are you seeing as the laggards in the market that are quite undervalued at this point?
Most of the altcoins are still undervalued. Most of the altcoins, they're still trying to rally up, like the AI projects, they're still lagging behind. Looking at like Orion Chain is still lagging behind, and we could see big data and AI projects has moved almost 400% just this morning. That shows you that it was lagging behind seriously, and we still have more that would rally this week down till the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And obviously that buzzword now, artificial intelligence, AI, that's, buzzing, at this point all over the place. But in the crypto space, is artificial intelligence, are those projects really making any headway at this point?
Yeah, definitely. The project I just called now, Big Data Protocol, it's actually a crypto project which has done 400% just this morning. And what it does is it aggregates data. So they've partnered with Open Protocol, and they are trying to utilize the AI technology to be able to draw more data feeds for AI projects. And that's where blockchain become quite intrinsic in most of all those things, because when you merge AI with blockchain, it becomes flawless, basically.
All right, well, we'll keep watching out, see how AI plays out. Remember, it was the metaverse in 2022 and behind that too, but now It's all about AI. Let's see how that plays out in 2023. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Solomon Amunde there, financial market analyst. Let's look at the top gainers now. Loopring, one of the oldies in the crypto space, that's topping the counters up 21.67%, and optimism there, $2.72. Trying to break that $3 mark at this point. It's up 20.73%. So we've seen big moves in this market. Now even DYDX on the top gainers counter. The top losers counter, we see Leo and the stable coins topping the counter. We know that once you see the stable coins on the top losers counter, it shows that traders are getting more bullish in the market and moving away from safety. So at this point, it's risk on. We don't see, maybe February might be another good month. We've seen January.
It's Valentine's month, so it should bring some good news.
Even though the color is red, but who knows?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ladi.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of this 55 minutes. I do hope that it was worth your time. And Will Ibong will be back at 1:30 p.m. for Business Incorporated. We have update from the world of business by then. And I'll see you tomorrow for the final 55 minutes. It might be hard, but we'll make it through. I'll see you tomorrow.